Well, hello, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Jobu. And as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Jobu Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. I just got finished watching the Dallas Cowboys pre-draft press conference with Steven, Jerry, Jason Garrett, as well as Gil Brandt. I got to tell you, Gil Brandt definitely dropped some knowledge and stuff on it because when he talked about a player that they had drafted and talking to Techstram, he had called him up and said, we got such and such. He said, well, how much did it cost? He said, well, I'll get to that. I said, no, how much did it cost? And he said, $12,000 with a $4,000 signing bonus. And he said, oh, God, we're going to be broke if you keep signing players to contracts like that. Yeah. So that's where we are as far as, or how far we've come in the NFL to now where we're talking about, $250 million contracts just about. But anyway, just a few notes on what went on in the press conference. Gil Brandt was actually great, just describing about how much it's evolved and changed and how little the NFL draft was back in the day and how the Dallas Cowboys came about to where it's become now. Even in my time, 2013, I went to my first NFL draft, which was in Radio City Music Hall, and it was before the NFL started really selling packages. They only had 500 tickets for fans. We're just talking 6 years ago. 500 tickets. We were inside day number 2 or day number 3 because we were doing some stuff for United Way. And to see how this has evolved, because I was in Chicago for that draft, and to have the theater on one side of the street and then to have the plaza on the other side was amazing. And then, of course, Philadelphia, as much as I hate the frickin' Eagles, they did a hell of a job with the draft. Having the stage, having the everything all together, having it outdoors was phenomenal. They really did a good job of it. And then, of course, Dallas, my Cowboys. I didn't actually go to the plaza or to the stadium. We actually tailgated at the RV the whole time, but it was an incredible experience meeting all the fans and stuff, and I'm actually going to miss being there this year. So here we are, 8 days away from the draft, and the Cowboys have basically their draft face on. You really did not get a hint of what they're going to do. They don't want you to know what they're going to do because there may be a player that they're really interested in. They don't want the secret out. Somebody moves in front of you, tries to make a trade and things. So they're going to keep under wraps what they really want to do. Asked if the Cowboys miss having a first-round draft pick. Of course, Stephen Jones yesterday said, yeah, we don't like not being part of the fight that first day. We're happy with getting Amari Cooper. We wouldn't trade that for anything, but we don't want to make that a thing. And if they would trade back into the first, Jerry Jones went on and said, we looked at what we did with Morris Claiborne. The draft is a living beast. Things happen. There's people who you don't expect to be there when you come up. Like Gil Brandt said, there's like 15 to 17 guys that that are truly first-round draft picks. He said there's 20 to 70 that they'll go anywhere in there, but they're really first-round talented guys. So you don't know what's going to fall your way. And the Cowboys were looking at Morris Claiborne, not thinking that that guy was a guy they had a chance at. And as he put it, they really didn't do their paperwork on Morris Claiborne. And they reached for him using a first and a second, and we know how the glass man worked for the Dallas Cowboys. It just did not work out that well. So Gil Brandt, again, throwing some old school knowledge, had said there's a lot of great safeties and centers in this draft. And I believe safeties is going to be one of those ones that you're not going to see a lot of them picked early. And I think that that's where the Cowboys are going to go. That's just my personal feeling. And the way they reiterated about safety and how they're evolving the type players that they're drafting because Will McClay is working with the coaches. And Chris Richard has a different type of cornerback, defensive back, and player than what has been the norm for the Cowboys. So he says they're evolving the type players they're looking at. And I dare say George Iloka at 6'4" is one of those type guys that Chris Richard has an influence on. He likes those bigger cornerbacks and safeties, and that may mean that we're looking at a safety who is a bigger style one. But he also, Stephen Jones, reiterated about how we're doing things differently because of the way you sign players to one-year deals, and I've talked about this. Here's the thing. If you sign Robert Quinn, and Robert Quinn turns around and plays lights out and goes elsewhere and signs a big contract, then you're going to get a compensatory pick. And understand, having more and more picks, 3, 4, 5, 6, can become very valuable players on your team. We've seen Dak Prescott, 4th round draft pick, what he's been able to do for us. So the Cowboys are evolving how they're going about this. Now, something Jason Garrett said, which is very, very, very true. He likes the fact that we've gone through and plugged all the holes, so it's not an area of need where we say we've got to plug this hole. Because when you do that, sometimes, as he said, if you need a tackle, all of a sudden, all the tackles look a lot better than they maybe really are. And how I can equate that is never go to the grocery store when you're hungry. Because what's going to happen is the things that you really need, you needed some sugar and some flour and you needed some lettuce and everything else. What you're going to get is some potato chips, you're going to get some Snickers bars, and you're going to get a whole bunch of junk food. You're not going to get what you really need. And it's not going to be things that are going to be substantive. We needed an edge rusher. We drafted Taco. And Taco was a reach. I'm not saying that Taco might not become a great player, but there were other players on the board that may have been better impact players, but we had to go with that guy because we were hungry. So that's the philosophy of the Cowboys, where they felt like they looked differently in free agency. They plugged all the holes. Now, whatever falls down to them, they're looking for a guy that day one you can plug in and is an improvement, be it anywhere across the board, which I think is the best thing in there. Also, too, they talked about running back, and this seems to be a narrative quite a bit. They're worried that if something happens to Zeke, and Stephen Jones said, Zeke has been reliable except for incidents, you want to make sure that if something does happen to him, that you are covered, that you are not going to nobody. So running back is definitely a position that they want to. As far as Zeke Elliott, the 5th-year option needs to be put in by the 12th, I believe, of May. And he said that they will get that done before then, that, a few days before that they're definitely going to exercise that 5th-year option on him. And let me see. What other notes I've got here? Stephen Jones talking about paying the guys. And the key thing, as he put it, is the draft. If you want balance on the team and being able to continue to afford guys, you have to be able to draft well where you can get these guys in young before they get the big contracts to replace the bigger, older players. And that is the New England Patriots' way of doing things. They are forever letting high-priced talent go in lieu of getting draft picks and reloading constantly over and over again, and it's worked really well. And the thing, Dak Prescott's contract. Stephen Jones says, look, the bottom line is we got to get it right. And when you compare it to, as he put it, Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, that they're top players in the position and they deserve to get paid what they're paid, they've got Super Bowl ring and so forth. So we'll see how that works out. Final note from Jason Garrett on tight ends. He's happy with the tight end situation, and he went down through and listed and said that Rico Gathers is still on the roster and that they're happy about him as well. Maybe Rico, now that Scott Linehan is gone, will finally get an even try and shake on it. And the final thing, and I wish I could pull this up, but the live stream is over with and it's not uploaded, so it's literally just spinning around here with Stephen Jones looking over my shoulder here. Jerry Jones was fantastic at the end, and I hope to get that clip later, because he was talking about negotiations and as well as everything in the NFL. He said it's never about the money. He said because the way the system is set up, you're going to spend the money. one way or the other, whether it's right or wrong, you will spend the money. So everybody who's saying the Cowboys are cheap and he's out buying a boat, that's irrelevant because of the way the system is set up. The question is between the draft, between free agency, between keeping your players or letting them go, it's a delicate dance and balance of making sure you get it right. If you spend too much money over here, then that means money's got to come from over there. So it's never about the money. It's about how you use the money. And so that's the notes that we have right now. We've gotten some hints out there of the NFL schedule. Supposedly, we're opening against the New York Giants. I believe that's a reality. I've heard that we're playing against the Miami Dolphins or the LA Rams for Thanksgiving. That's a possibility, but it might not be. I've heard that we are finishing the season against the Washington Redskins in week 17. And we'll see what else we hear on the schedule. The full schedule will be out tonight at 8 o'clock. So we'll be doing a live stream. I hope you guys tune in. As always, friends, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Jobu Sports Report. I'll see you soon.